Luis.
Luis, good to see you.
Gina.
I'm Gina. Nice
Hi,
to meet you.
Gina. And we've got Duolingo. Did I
That's
pronounce
correct,
it properly?
Duolingo, yeah.
Duolingo.
Yeah.
Tell me about Duolingo.
All right, so I started Duolingo about 4 years ago.
Okay.
I had just sold my second company to Google,
Yeah.
and I wanted to work on something that was related to my passion, which is education.
Right.
Now, my views on education have always been very influenced by the fact that I'm from Guatemala, which is a very poor country. And now most people talk about education as being something that brings equality to different social classes. But I always saw it as the opposite, something that brings inequality. Because, see, the people who have a lot of money can buy themselves the best education in the world, and because of that remain having a lot of money, whereas people who don't have very much money barely learn how to read and write. And because of that, never end up making a lot of money.
That's certainly true when we're underfunding public education, but that's a whole other topic. So go ahead.
So yeah, so I wanted to do something that would bring equal access to education to everybody.
Right.
Now, education is very general, so I decided to work on one type of education, which is learning a foreign language.
Yes.
It turns out there's 1.2 billion people in the world learning a foreign language. Now, it's a funny market. 800 million of these satisfy three properties. First, they're learning English.
Yeah.
Second, the reason they're learning English is in order to get a better job.
Right.
And third, they're of low socioeconomic condition.
Yeah.
So most people learning a foreign language are trying to learn English to get out of poverty.
Right.
But most of the ways there were to learn a language were very expensive. It cost like about $1,000. So
Right.
the irony is that it seems it takes $1,000 to get out of poverty, which makes no sense. So I decided to make an app that would teach languages entirely free. Launched it about 3 years ago, and today is the most popular way to learn languages in the world.
This is great.
There are, in fact, more people learning a language on Duolingo in the United States than in the whole U.S. public school system.
No kidding.
In
Now
fact,
that shows there's a problem with the U.S. public school system. More languages, but that's okay. Go ahead.
In fact, there are over 100 million people learning languages with Duolingo all over the world. And we think there are three things that have made it grow so quickly. The first is that it's free.
Yeah.
The second is that it's made to look like a game. It really
Okay.
feels like a
Let
game.
me take
So
a look at it.
even people who are not interested in learning a language and kind of don't want to study end up doing this because it's a fun game.
Right.
And the third thing is that it's completely science-based. We really care about the rate at which people acquire information.
Mm-hmm.
And so we work on that every day. There's a study conducted by the City University of New York that shows that 34 hours of Duolingo are equivalent to a full university semester of language education.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So if I really want to spruce up on my Spanish,
You should download Duolingo.
I've got to download Duolingo. Of course, right now I'm not allowed to have a smartphone, but that's a whole other. Well, that's terrific. And in terms of design, you sort of systematically went through to figure out what have we learned and what are the best practices in terms of teaching language.
Yeah,
And then you had to break it down into its component parts so that you could structure easily accessible.
Yeah, that's the idea. The learning a language is split up into different parts that we call skills. So,
Right.
for example, food is a skill where you could learn about food, or
Right.
plurals is a skill where you can learn about plurals, and everything really feels like you're playing a game. Now, what's really cool is that we, because it's online, we can watch every movement that you make while you're learning. So we can do really cool things about teaching you better. So, for example, if you make a mistake, we remember, and then later we give you more exercises about that. Or even if you hesitate, we even know things like if you take 500 milliseconds longer to answer on a given word, we say, okay, this person's a little shaky on that word, so we're going to do more of that. And because of that, we're able to teach a lot better.
So now, having provided this free app, are you then modifying your business plan to get the schools to start adapting this, and then is that how ultimately you might actually pay your bills?
Yeah, there's a few ways in which we're going to pay our bills. So one, we're starting to work with schools. There's about 100,000 classrooms across the globe that are using Duolingo. But we're also, one of our business models is we charge for certifying that you know English. So we charge $20. If you want a certificate that shows that you know English, you charge us $20.
That's interesting.
Which is much cheaper than any other way to certify English, but it happens to be, this is a huge potential business. There's about...
And it's now recognized among employers, so if I am running a restaurant and I want to certify that I'm hiring you as a hostess, that you know English,
Or for schools.
That's the idea. Or applying, for a lot of times international students trying to apply to U.S. universities have to certify that they know English. So we're working with 12 universities across the United States, so Harvard, Carnegie Mellon. I'm a professor at Carnegie Mellon as well, so we're working with all these to start accepting our test for international students.
And we were talking to a couple of people here about potentially using it as a way for people to see whether they would qualify for getting a citizenship exam for English, to make them feel less nervous about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. This is a great
Thank
idea.
you. Thank you.
I'm gonna tap into this.
As soon as you have a smartphone,
Yeah,
this is the first thing you
because
should
I
do.
have to say that
You can use it on the computer too, on the web. if
my high school Spanish was just painful. And, because I think that, so much of how we design teaching languages.
So Spanish is the one that you took?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my accent is terrific, but
That one word.
I have the vocabulary of a 2-year-old. So, well, come on, let's get a good picture here. Make sure we get the Duolingo in the background. Come on. All right, everybody got this? Fantastic. Did you do the whole?
You can say feliz cumpleaños in Spanish.
Mucho gusto.
Aha, see?